Good evening. So Serum 2 has dropped, and what a masterpiece it is. And I wanted to make a tune with all of the stock presets in Serum because some of them are generational. I'm very impressed. Before we start, you see this little cut here? I was in a session yesterday, and once we'd finished writing the song, the two songwriters recorded the vocals, and I went to the back of the room with my headphones on and carried on the production. When they'd finished and I played it in the room, we listened to it pretty damn loud, and as the drop hit, the room shook so much that the acoustic cloud fell off its bracket and onto my head. I promise you that is no word of a lie. How mad is that? So be careful out there, guys. Being a producer can be very, very dangerous. Let's get into it.
When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me? I'm bleeding on my knees. It's your touch that I need. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me? I'm bleeding on my knees. It's your touch that I need. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me?
And there we have it. Let's run it from the top.
When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me? I'm bleeding on my knees. It's your touch that I need. I found the street of the house in which you stayed, and the diary's full of your name on every page. Cause I read them where you thought enough for me. I'll try again one day, you'll see. Your hands under my pillow, so I sleep. And I'm dreaming of you, leaving bruises on my feet. I'm obsessed with you in a way I can't believe. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me? I'm bleeding on my knees. It's your touch that I need. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me? I'm bleeding on my knees. It's your touch that I need. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me?
Alright, let's get into it. So we're in A sharp minor. Our chords throughout the song are A sharp minor, which is the 1, G sharp, which is the 7, F sharp, which is the 6, and then back to the 7. And we're starting off with this lovely little intro pad, which is just a patch that I made, just a square wave. It's got a little bit of this vinyl crackle in there as well. Nothing on the effects. And in the matrix, we've got envelope 2 on coarse pitch, and that's at 3%. So this envelope here is just affecting the pitch, which gives it that glide. And I've done some other little pitch bends here just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then, as usual, a little bit of open on the cutoff to give it a little bit of movement. And I do think production-wise, generally it's easy to feel like you have to just layer and layer and layer things. But I think if you get good sounding patch and add some interest to it, like stuff that we've done with this vinyl crackle here, and then the pitch bend with this envelope, and then some of this natural pitch bend that we've done just to make it a little bit more interesting. Once you've got a good sound that's interesting by itself, you don't really need to layer it with much. So I do think spending time on one sound and getting it sounding good is much more effective than just sort of blindly layering and layering things.
I found the street of the house.
And then we come on to these plucks, which is a Serum 2 preset. It's in Plucks Alive, it's called. I've done a few little tweaks here, but it's pretty similar to the original. And we're doing those same chords, but with a little bit of a rhythm and some little sort of melody going on the top end as well. So it's just the root note and the thirds that are being played mainly here. And then a few little accents to make it a little bit more interesting. And throughout this song, something really helps is the swing that I've used, which is this swing notator 16E, which I recommend using on drum and bass. It sounds really good. So without that swing on,
I found the street of the house in which you stayed, and the diary's full of your name on every page.
it's a little bit straight, and with it on,
I found the street of the house in which you stayed, and the diary's full of your name.
just gives it a little bit of a skip, so it just feels much more natural. And we've got some processing on there. I've got a compressor that's hitting really hard. So we're at 10 ratio there, so without that, and with, it's only a subtle little difference because we're opening the cutoff in this Serum here. It helps to glue it together and it gives it a sort of wavy vibe that it doesn't have with a compressor. So I know a lot of people struggle with compression, and what I'd recommend is to pull the threshold all the way down so you can really hear what it's doing. And then you can play around with the attack, release and the ratio. And then after that, pull it back. And another thing we've done to create a little bit of interest in the transitions with this plug, I've added a Valhalla room and we're just automating the mix of it. And what I've done is I've kept the decay really short and the pre-delay really long. So it almost feels like an echo a little bit because the reverb is taking more time to come in. So rather than it being a sort of endless smile type washy reverb, we have a much tighter one that almost acts as a delay, so you can hear it here. Just a tiny little bit of ear candy there. And it's much more interesting, I think, than just having a sort of washy reverb.
I found the street with a house in which you stayed. And the diary's full of your name on every page. Cause I read them where you're falling enough for me. I'll try again one day you'll see. Your hands under my pillow so I sleep.
And then we just come in with a Reese, very basic as usual, just 2 saw waves, one fine-tuned up between 20 and 30, one fine-tuned down between 20 and 30, and a little bit of hyperdimension, a little bit distortion, and that is it. And then a filter as well, of course. And then to give it movement as usual, we're changing the rate of the cutoff.
Your hands under my pillow so I sleep. And I'm dreaming of you leaving roses on my feet. I'm obsessed with you in a way I can't believe. When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me?
Again, I'm going to bang on about it. Silence before the drop is very impactful. And you'll find a lot in my projects, you'll have these little utilities peppered about on groups. And it's because I'm pulling the gain all the way down in these little transition sections. So it means that if you've got reverb or a long release on a synth, you don't get any of that overhang. So it's just total silence. So in that section, you only hear the parts that you want to hear effectively. So in this section, it's just this vocal and then the little snare roll and then that's it.
When you wipe your tears, do you wipe them just for me? Do you wipe them just for me?
And then as usual, very simple drum and bass kick and snare pattern. And then we've just got a hat on there that's doing straight notes. And I've got a swing on there, swing 16ths, 66. And then I put these little shuffles in just to keep the momentum going. And for the bass, it is just a patch that I found, J. Escar patch. And the thing that's really helping the energy of this song is this pitch envelope. So it's like almost like an 808. LFO1 is affecting the coarse pitch. So without that, and with, so you get that attack in the bass, which gives it that transient and gives it a lot of momentum. And then this drop pluck is doing the same melody as our verse plucks. And again, this is a Serum 2 preset in plucks, autumn pluck. Sounds amazing. And again, the swing is doing a lot of the work. So without the swing in this drop, almost feels a little bit rushed. And then with that swing on, has much more of a groove to it. And then to transition, we've got an endless smile opening up on this vocal. And then same again, before the drop, we've taken some silence out to give it that bit more impact. And then the drums, we've got this little fill. And then we're introducing this shaker. So just double what the hat is doing. And same again, we've got that swing 16ths on there as well. And then we just introduce another pluck just to elevate the sound a little bit into that second section. Pluck Dark Room. Sounds lovely. And similar to what I did in the last video, I found a better way of doing this sidechain trick where you separate the length of the sidechain between lows and the highs of the bass. So this is the low end of our sidechain from the bass has got this curve. So that's being cut out pretty much directly in line with the kick. And then with the high end, because the top of the kick doesn't last as long as the low end of the kick, we're able to leave some more of the high end of the bass to come through. So it's less aggressive on the top of the bass than it is the low end of the bass. And there we have it. Serum 2, one absolute generational plugin that is. I'll definitely do some sound design stuff on Serum 2. I haven't yet dived in properly, so once I do, we'll get onto that. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope it's helped. Love to your mothers.